What does it mean to be a slave to God? Welcome to your daily 180 Bible study. We've been talking about the fact that every one of us is going to be a slave to someone in this life, to some will that is foreign to our own. We're either going to do the will of the flesh, and we're going to reap the wages that come with it, the wages of death, or we're going to be slaves to God. We're going to do His will. We're going to lay our own will aside, and we're going to do what He would have us to do, and in the end receive the gift of God, which is eternal life. If I want to be a slave to God, if I recognize that Jesus is the greatest master that I could ever have, He's benevolent, He's kind, He is meek and lowly in heart, and He will give me rest for my soul, how do I become a slave to God, and what does that entail? Well, being a slave to God, you need to know, means that you're also going to be a slave to others, to your fellow man. As slaves to God, we are bound, compelled to serve one another. In Galatians chapter 5, verse number 13, the Bible there says, "For you, brethren, have been called to liberty." We're free. Only do not use your liberty as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another. You see, being a slave to God means that we are free, but we are going to be servants. Servants to one another. In 1 Corinthians chapter 9, the Apostle Paul talks about how he had made himself a servant to all. For what purpose, Paul? So that I might win them. Paul says in verse 10 that to the Jews he became as a Jew, that I might win the Jews. Paul had a purpose in this, for the advancement of the gospel of Christ. If in order to win them, I have to be with them, I have to live like them, I'm willing to do that. If that means I have to give up certain kinds of meat that I might otherwise enjoy, I'm willing to do that, because I have made myself a slave to others, that I might serve them. Why is it we would be willing to do that? Because we recognize that our service to others is service to our Master, is service to Jesus Christ. In Matthew 25, when Jesus is talking about the judgment scene, where the great King, the God of all, is dividing as a shepherd the sheep from the goats, He says in Matthew 25 and verse number 40 to the righteous, "The kingdom will assuredly answer and say to them, Assuredly I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these my brethren, you did it to me." When you show kindness to others, when you are a servant to others, you're doing service to God.